Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here. In artificial intelligence news, AI finally has a kill switch that is now actual law. Now, this is coming from one state. I'll let you guess which state it is before I say it, and take that, Terminators. But here's the thing, and this one is actually really interesting because there are both upsides and downsides to this one, and Kyle Orland of Ars Technica had a really good write-up that I'm cribbing from him, so thank you, Kyle. But here's what's going on, because this bill is kind of controversial, and it's aimed at enforcing safety standards for large AI models, and that has just passed the California State Assembly, because they're always on these kinds of things, and that basically had a 45-11 vote, so it has a lot of support. Now, following a 32-1 state Senate vote in May, SB 1047, which is essentially the bill we're talking about here, now faces just one more thing, and that essentially is Governor Newsom signing it into law. Now, SB 1047, to get in the nuts and bolts of this, asks AI model creators to implement a quote-unquote kill switch that can be activated if the model starts introducing, quote, novel threats to public safety and security, especially if it's acting with limited human oversight, intervention, or supervision. Now, some have criticized the bill for focusing on the outlandish risks from an imagined future AI rather than real present-day harms of AI use, cases like deepfakes and misinformation. And obviously, we have a huge problem with artificial generation in deepfakes or misinformation and all of that, but a future where we have autonomous robots that can go all iRobot on us or whatnot, or Terminator, is, I think, essentially the goal here. But this may be premature for that. Now, in announcing the legislative passage this past Wednesday, Bill's sponsor and state senator Scott Weiner cited support for from AI industry luminaries such as Geoffrey Hinton and Yoshua Bengio. Cannot pronounce names today. Both of them, for the record, last year signed a statement warning of the, quote, risk of extinction, end quote, from fast developing AI tech. And in a recently published editorial in Fortune magazine, Bengio said that the bill, quote, outlines a bare minimum for effective regulation of frontier AI models, end quote. And so its focus is on large models. Those are those that cost over $100 million to train. So you in your basement training an AI model is not the focus here. So obviously that would avoid any kind of impact to smaller startups that don't have the funding of like a Google or OpenAI, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And Bengio wrote, and I quote, "We cannot let corporations grade their own homework and simply put out nice-sounding assurances. We don't accept this in other technologies such as pharmaceuticals, aerospace, and food safety. Why should AI be treated differently?" End quote. And he is absolutely right. However, in a separate Fortune editorial from earlier this month, Stanford computer science professor and AI expert Fei-Fei Li argued that the well-meaning legislation will, and I quote, have significant unintended consequences, not just for California, but for the entire country. Now, the bill's imposition of liability for the original developer of any modified model will, quote, force developers to pull back and act defensively, end quote. Now, this will limit the open source sharing of AI weights and models, which will have significant impact on academic research, according to her. And I can see that understanding of, well, if I've created something and you've taken it, modified it, expanded it, or whatever, but my original creation is now going all Terminator or causing public harm in some way, shape, or form, that original developer or creator of that who had an intended use that, let's say, got perverted, changed, whether it's intentional or accidentally, may now be on the hook for that. That obviously would be an issue. And a group of California business leaders sent an open letter Wednesday urging Governor Newsom to veto the quote-unquote fundamentally flawed bill that improperly, quote, regulates model development instead of misuse, end quote. This bill would, quote, introduce burdensome compliance costs and chill investment and innovation through regulatory ambiguity, according to the group. Now, I'm not 100% sure on that, only in the sense that these things are all the rage, and one of the biggest problems that government has, especially on the way technology moves so quickly, is actual oversight. Technology moves a lot faster than a government can. Governments have to basically, unless you're authoritarian, you have to have arguments on this, you have to have votes on this, you have to have agreements on these things in a bipartisan nature, because you got Republicans and Democrats, at least here in the United States, that are going to argue, and quite frankly, at the federal level, couldn't vote for lunch right now. So So I can understand why that would potentially be stunted. But as we are seeing these advancements, just like the European Union's AI Act, there has to be some kind of regulation. Only in the sense that what we are starting to see are the baking in of artificial intelligence into military and kinetic warfare applications. Look at the AI based drones that are being pioneered in Ukraine. South Korea has autonomous robots basically armed with machine guns on the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea. Essentially, so if the North Korean army decides to come over the mountain, the robots get to shooting. And so understanding that as we are developing AI and improving on AI, while we're not getting terminators anytime soon, or, Judgment Day, through Skynet, those things are something that we have to think about, good, bad, and ugly. And while we don't want to stunt development and growth, I think this bill is a platform that can be changed and adapted in advance as we make mistakes and improve on those mistakes in terms of legislative oversight of artificial intelligence. So that is your news of the day. I think this is actually interesting. I think it's basically one step forward, not two steps. But by virtue of that, we are moving the ball forward, not just in helping to secure AI development or make sure that it's on the right path for consumers, but also to protect us as well from future implications of somebody just going completely off the rails and, I don't know, blowing us all up. We'll see what happens. But again, that's not anytime soon. ChatGPT is not turning Terminator, no matter how much I joke about it or what you actually think. That's not how the technology works, at least for now. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP until the Terminators come. Same with YouTube. You might see me shooting back. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please attempt to stay private. Thanks, everybody.